Hi, everyone. In this video, I'm going to show you how to access your Pearson homework. So I'm going to go into the week 1 module. Every week, you're going to have homework. So I'll just use week 1 as an example. So you'll see after you go through the content for the week 1, you're going to go down to My Math Lab homework, and you have 2 homeworks week 1. So for example, let's click on homework 1. So once you click on the homework, since it's already, Brightspace is already linked to Pearson, it just brings you right to the homework. Now it presents it in a list from, in this case, question number 1 to 23. You can really start anywhere. I would typically just start with question 1. So that'll bring you into the homework. And from here, you have on the left-hand side, the question list, and you could bounce around from question to question. You don't have to go in order, but my recommendation would be to just go in order. And as you go along, I want you to see that you have resources and tools right within each homework. So for example, number 1 says to evaluate, the following expression. So -3 to the third. Let's say you get the wrong answer. Let's say you said it was positive 27. So once you type your answer in, you're going to go to the bottom right and check answer. So you'll see that's incorrect. So it'll kind of give you a little bit of a hint. You say, okay, you have multiple attempts at each question. I don't have a cap on it. So it'll still give you more chances. But my recommendation would be to use these tools for help at the bottom. And this is why I think it's important that I'm going through this with you, because I want you to be aware of the resources that you have. So let's say, you still don't understand how to get this answer correct. So you say, help me solve this. So the computer is going to give you a step-by-step of how you would solve this. So on the bottom, you're going to hit continue. And then it's going to, along the way, it might ask you some questions. What is the base B in this problem? You're going to have to type in your answer. And then it's going to continue to ask you. So it's almost prompting you on how to solve it with a little bit of help. Once it does that, and I apologize, my computer's a little slow right now. It'll kind of tie it together and say, okay, now evaluate. So let's say, all right, we do it. We check our answer. Fantastic. We close this. And you see what happened. It's going to give you a new question, very, very similar, but it's going to change a little bit. So like instead of -3 to the third, it's asking you to evaluate -3 to the sixth. So help me solve this is going to walk you step by step to solving the current problem. But then it's going to give you another opportunity to answer the question. The other option is view an example. So let's say you don't want to be helped with that specific question. So let's say you want to see something similar. It'll give you a similar example. It'll walk you step by step. You're going to keep hitting continue, and then it's going to let you attempt the problem. So very similar. It's just that help me solve this is going to solve that particular question. Then it's going to generate a new question for you to do on your own. View an example is going to give you a similar question, show you how to do it, and then let you go back to the original. And like I was saying earlier, you can go from question to question. Like let's say right now you want to jump to question 3. I don't know what's going on right now. This thing is a little bit glitchy. Okay, so question 3 is a similar question. We're just raising it to a 0 exponent. So let me answer this. I say it's 1, I check my answer. So if you do get it correct, it'll say fantastic, well done. Next question. So you'll see the computer keeps track of if you got the question right or wrong. Green check means it's correct. The X means it's incorrect. So since you have multiple attempts at each question, don't let the red ones stay red. Go back and do it again until you get it right. So honestly, there's really no reason for you to not get 100 on every homework. I'm giving you that opportunity to help me solve this, view an example until you get them all right. I want you to get them right. So once you're finished, all of the questions will be checked off, or if you decide to leave them wrong, they'll be X'd off. But either way, you'll know when you finish the homework because everything will be completed. Let's say you have to leave, you're going to work, you want to come back to this. You can come back to the homework at any time. You would just save it. So if you were to click on save, it'll save whatever results you had gotten so far. And now when you go to resume, you'll see, okay, question 1, I got wrong. I did question 3, that one's correct. And then you would be able to resume. The other thing that I want to point out, so let me pick another example, like let's say number 14. If you need exponents in your answer, or if your answer is a fraction, you have those tools at the bottom of your screen. So you see how once I click on the box to enter my answer, like this answer is going to be 25 and then y, and it's going to be to the 6th power. So in order to get an exponent, if you look at the bottom toolbar, the third one over is an exponent. You see when you click on it, now I'm able to type in a 6 for my exponent. You have a fraction key down there. You have a square root, absolute value. So any tools that you guys need are always going to be on the bottom. So it might take a homework or two to get used to the tools that you have. But with the fact that you have, multiple tries at each question, if you mess something up because of, you forgot to use the exponent or you forgot the square root or whatever, you'll get it right once you get the hang of it. Okay, so that's how homework works. It's really simple. You just have to complete all the questions. You can go back to them. You can fix your wrong answers. And when you're finished, you save. And then you could always resume. And once you complete all the questions, you'll have a grade. So the other thing that I wanted to show you is in addition to homework, and homework is graded, let's say you guys want to have extra practice. So let's say, exponents are giving you a little bit of trouble. You did the homework, but you feel like you want some more practice. You can always go directly into my math lab. So I have a module here for my math lab. At any time, you could go into that actual homepage. You would click on Pearson again. Now it's going to bring you to my lab and mastering. So it's going to open it. So open my lab and mastering. And now it's going to bring you to your My Math Lab course home. And I'm going to view it from the student perspective. So you guys have a calendar here. The calendar that you're going to look at is the one that's in Brightspace. This has its own calendar. So, you'll also see the due dates in here for the homeworks. But what I want you to be aware of is that you can get a lot of additional practice if you guys go into the study plan. So on the left-hand side here, you're going to see study plan. If you click on study plan, go to all chapters, you can select whatever chapter and section you want extra practice with. So for example, let's go into chapter P and let's click on exponents. So like I said, let's say you're having trouble simplifying exponential expressions. You have a whole section here of examples where you can practice simplifying exponential expressions. So for example, let's just click on one. So simplify this exponential expression. So you have this question, a bunch of other questions that, feel free to not do. You could skip over some, just do ones that you feel like, you want to practice with. This is not going to count. You're not going to get points for this, lose points for this. This is totally separate from the homework, but it's a great resource because, like I said, it's extra practice and it's not going to hurt you. So let's say we type in our answer. We check it, we got it right. It's automatically going to go to the next question. Let's say, you don't want to practice with that anymore. So let's say you did enough here. And now let's say you want to practice evaluating exponential expression. So let's click on one of those questions. So how to evaluate -7 squared. So let's say we type in let's say we type in +49 and we check our answer, we get it wrong. It's going to be very similar to the homework. If you like, you could click on help me solve this, view an example, and you're going to get help to solve these. And again, these are separate from the homework. This is just additional if you choose to do it. But I think that, this could be a very helpful tool for you. So I did want to show you guys that in addition to the homework, you could go directly into my math lab through Brightspace, go into the study plan and go to all chapters and pick whatever chapter and section you would like extra practice with. Okay, so I wanted to point that out. I think it's really important. And of course, if you guys have any questions, you could always email me, if you have any questions navigating the homework or, Pearson My Math Lab. A lot of it's pretty self-explanatory. You'll get used to it because you're going to be doing homework every week. But again, if you guys have any questions regarding the homework, feel free to email me and I'll be more than happy to help.